You know how crushed my mother would have been if I would have died? I could have. So when you get people who was not there, didn't know us, and say, I grabbed Tupac or used to shield or this happened, how do you know these details, whoever you are, if you was not there?
Anything can happen, anything go wrong. And the tragedy is always there. You're not out of prison till you out.
That was massive. Suge Knight warned how wild prison can get, and now it's like he saw it coming. The Death Row Records founder was stabbed in a brutal prison attack. Sources say it's all linked to the dangerous secrets he's been exposing.
True story. Drake came to me because I'm not going to go into the situation with him on about his friends. I said, well, something like that. It's like old Hollywood. You got to get married quickly. He wanted to marry this person. That person didn't want to. I didn't get this new person. He married them. One day, Drake came to me and said, I'm never going to cuss on albums again. I'm never going to talk about women again. And he told me that he wanted to be white.
What did he know? And who wanted him silenced? Let's break it down. Suge Knight isn't just some rap legend. He's one of the most feared names in hip-hop history. But one night in June, that legend turned into just another inmate. It went down fast. A source said the lights in C Block were already out when, for reasons no one's been able to explain, an inmate slipped into Suge's cell and launched a violent ambush. To really get why this happened, you gotta know who Suge was. Not just in music, but in the dark corners of the entertainment world. He wasn't some random guy who landed a lucky record deal. Suge Knight was hip-hop's nightmare. Respected, feared, and dangerous.
I'm sure somebody taught him that, and that's more deep in the industry. You guys who got involved with a lot of people who was their mentors, instead of having a guy to mentor your own father, they was having these guys they mentor. And when that happens in the industry, it was done to them, they do to the next person. So,
born in Compton, Suge started out as a football player before getting deep in LA's street game, acting as muscle for hire. But in the early 90s, everything changed. After teaming up with Dr. Dre, who had just walked away from Ruthless Records, Suge co-founded Death Row Records, and that move flipped the entire industry. Death Row exploded fast. Suge didn't build a label, he built an empire. By 1994, it was raking in over $100 million a year. Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Nate Dogg, Tha Dog Pound. He had the whole West Coast locked down. But that fame came with a dark side. Behind the gold chains and chart toppers was a lot of fear. Insiders say Suge ruled by intimidation. There were stories of threats, beatdowns, and straight-up terror. One of the wildest. People say Suge once dangled Vanilla Ice off a hotel balcony.
Puffy, that's me, I think, to them. Shit, they ain't tripping. But if you don't stop the cycle, it's gonna keep happening.
He'd storm into clubs with a full squad, 15 deep, and shut down the whole scene just to flex. But it all started to fall apart. By the 2000s, Death Row was broke, and Suge was drowning in legal trouble. Assault charges, lawsuits, parole problems. It was nonstop. Then came the 2015 hit and run during the filming of Straight Outta Compton. Suge ran over 2 men, killing one. That got him 28 years at R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility. Everyone thought that was the end. But Suge wasn't done. Even from behind bars, he was still making waves. It all popped off in January 2024 when Suge picked up a prison phone and dropped a bomb. That call set off a chain reaction that rocked the whole hip-hop world. The platform, the PBD podcast.
I seen one of the saddest things I ever seen in a man. I'm looking at Easy, Eric, like, he said, I bought a car, I think all his phone was for me, he didn't do nothing. And it's like he trying to hold back the tears because he don't want to be embarrassed by me seeing him crying. Because he crying because he's scared or he crying because he hurt. But for another man.
But perhaps the most chilling part of Knight's Eazy-E story is what happened next. According to Knight, Dr. Dre was secretly planning violence against his former partner.
When Andre answered the phone, I'm talking to him. I said, you get ready to come up here now. What you want done again? He was like, man, shoot that head, blow his head off, shoot him in the eye, take pictures of it. You don't got one of those things, you know, blah, 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 you for a phone shit, you know. Get one of those portable cameras and let me see it, I want to see it, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Most inmates stay quiet, but not Suge Knight. He knew silence gets you erased in hip-hop's power game. So he picked up the prison phone and started spilling everything. For nearly 2 hours, Suge dropped bombs, naming names, sharing receipts, and calling out some of the biggest players in the game. At first, he just reflected on Death Row's early days. But when the topic shifted to Diddy, things exploded. Suge claimed Diddy didn't get shady on his own. He was trained. He said powerful men in the industry mentored Diddy, and now Diddy's passing on that same dark game. Then Suge did the unthinkable. He went after Clive Davis, one of the most feared names in music. Suge hinted Clive doesn't just make stars, he decides who survives. And Suge wasn't done. He claimed hip-hop's elite were working to silence anyone who refused to play by the rules. He even warned that Diddy himself was now in danger.
He's definitely going to be the black motherfucker holding the bag. Because you gotta realize one thing. That boy life is dangerous. His life isn't, he's just not dangerous with the shit they said he was doing, but he's in danger. He knows too much.
Not for what he did, but for what he knows. Then it happened. Around 10:40 p.m., inside R.J. Donovan prison, Suge was attacked. A guard later said one cell door stayed open longer than usual. The door belonged to inmate D 3095, Marion Suge Knight. That cell should have been locked after 30 seconds, but it stayed open for 2.5 minutes. That's no glitch. That's a setup. In that short window, a masked inmate with gloves slipped inside. Witnesses in nearby cells later told Vlad TV, "We heard a thud, then another, then silence. No screaming, just that heavy breathing when someone's ribs are shattered." One even said the prison phone line, Suge's only lifeline, was shut down minutes after the hit. Real convenient. The attacker, gone, just vanished into the shadows. And the cameras, between 10:38 and 10:46 p.m., pure static. A corrections source later admitted they didn't want this.
Eventually it cost him his life. Eventually you have guys who will speak about Tupac who never met him. They said they was with Death Row, never were there. Or they might have been security for Death Row or the car washing Death Row. They never met Pac, and they would say they want negative things about Tupac. They have to tell Tupac stories.
By the time anyone could blink, Suge was already in the medical unit. Battered, bloody, ribs crushed, face cut. Within an hour, 3 known death row affiliates were either moved or thrown into solitary. The C-Block security logs, erased. 2 outside phone calls, manually deleted. It was a full wipe. Insiders told Vlad TV somebody pulled rank. The hit team had backup ready to clean up. Fast. And yet by sunrise, word had spread across the West Coast prison yards. The big homie got touched. Now it's clear. Suge made more enemies than friends rising to power. And those enemies, they still watch him. Diddy, Clive Davis, Jimmy Iovine, ex-death row enforcers turned snitches. All of them had reasons to stay scared, especially after Suge's prison phone call. He wasn't just ranting. He was about to expose how deep this game really goes. Suge Knight hasn't dropped a hit in years. But when it comes to dirt, he's still sitting on a mountain of secrets. We're talking unsolved murders, shady contracts, and dirty money from back in the death row glory days. And now, he's way too reckless to stay quiet. After that explosive podcast episode, the silence around him got deadly. Within hours of the prison attack, everything shifted. The blood sets in Donovan, long loyal to Suge, went quiet.
Well, one, I could know who killed me, I just don't know. But the thing about this, it was a real sad day, not just for Biggie, but for his family, but for the culture of hip-hop. I think that destroyed hip-hop with those 2 murders.
A major Crip shot caller from another unit got moved overnight, no reason given. By the end of the week, no one in the prison dared say Suge's name. One inmate said, "When the boss moves in silence, you don't speak on it." This wasn't just gang politics or an old grudge. Connect the dots, from the phone call to the beatdown to the erased logs, and the picture's clear. Somebody up top wanted Suge shut down, fast. Because here's the thing, Suge hadn't just started talking on that one call. He'd been airing the industry's dirty laundry for months. Since launching his podcast Collect Call with Suge Knight in October 2023, he's been torching reputations left and right. From calling out big names to revealing stories that were supposed to stay buried. He even turned on his own, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Even when you speak on Snoop, people can say, well, are you picking on Snoop? Absolutely not. Snoop is picking on Snoop. Everybody says, Snoop, you had involvement in it. We're not trying to put you in prison. I don't want you to go to prison. Can't nobody put you in prison. You connected to those folks. And you Trump's little bitch. But why you just don't set the record straight?
The same guys he helped turn into global legends. Suge says their rise came at a price. Betrayal, silence, and the collapse of everything death row once stood for. But his beef with Snoop, that's personal. Suge isn't just claiming lies, he's hinting Snoop's been working with law enforcement. He says Snoop's protection and freedom don't come from luck, but from playing a dirty game. The betrayal runs deep, especially when Suge talks about how Snoop and others rewrote the death row story to push him out and spotlight themselves. He says they cut him out of history on purpose, flipping the legacy to serve their own image. But it didn't stop there. When Suge started talking about Dr. Dre, things got even messier.
So when every time we get there, the guard calls up. He says, Easy up here for Dre. Let him up. And Easy at the guard. You know what's up there? He said, that's Dre. So he walks in the studio. You see me, you see a few people. We start talking. I said, man, he ain't coming, but I'm going to talk to you about it. I showed him the pictures of all the artists I had on one piece and the 3 I had on another piece.
Their relationship, once legendary, has now turned bitter and ugly. Suge claims Dre struggled with personal identity issues and leaned on him for support during private breakdowns. But now, Suge is exposing those moments on air. Whether it's pure revenge or just desperation, he's airing out dirty laundry with zero filter. And the Eazy-E stuff? That's where it gets dark. Suge says Dre wasn't just beefing with Eazy, he was plotting on him. He claims Dre pretended to stay cool with Eazy while secretly planning to have him murked, with Suge even hinting at photo evidence. If there's truth in that, it completely rewrites what we thought we knew about NWA.
Yeah, man, tell your life, tell your story. It still will never be the same without Tupac and Biggie. And I'm going to end it here because I knew Pac and Biggie loved each other. When I was in the hotel and then Pac in the hotel and he talking to Biggie before Pac passed away, he wasn't mad at Biggie like, I hate this motherfucker. He was more hurt because he felt that Biggie had something to do with the shit in the studio.
According to Suge, what we're seeing in hip-hop now isn't evolution, it's corruption. The culture got hijacked by the same people who betrayed it, and Suge's still at war, not just with celebs like Dre and Diddy, but with behind-the-scenes players like Wack 100 and Reggie Wright Jr., people he says sold him out or twisted the real story. If even part of what Suge's saying is true, then the biggest names in hip-hop might have built their empires on lies. And through it all, there's still one story that no one wants him to tell. The one that happened in Vegas, the night Tupac died. When Tupac got gunned down in Suge Knight's car, it wasn't just a tragedy. It became Suge's most dangerous secret. Out of all the beefs, betrayals, and bombshells he's dropped, nothing is more deadly than the question still swirling about his role in Tupac's death. The official story? Tupac and Suge were leaving the Tyson fight at the MGM Grand when they were hit in a drive-by. Pac died 6 days later.
You left Malik for dead. You left a security named Kenny for dead when he got shot in the back behind you. Because the fact that the real thing is so much money was paid out of my pocket and your participation.
Suge walked away with scratches, but Suge's own words over the years, full of contradictions. And those inconsistencies have fueled theories that just won't die. He gets defensive whenever Tupac's name comes up. Real jumpy, like he knows the truth could bury him. He challenges critics. How you know what happened if you weren't there? That might be frustration, or a move to dodge something bigger. Suge once saved Tupac, bailed him out and gave him a stage. But their bond wasn't just loyalty, it was business. And Suge had a lot to lose. Knight and Pac stomped out Orlando Anderson that same night. That beatdown, caught on camera. Many believe that moment triggered the whole chain of violence. And now, there's talk that the shooting wasn't random. Some say it came from inside Suge's circle. A former LAPD detective even linked it to money issues, saying Pac's death may have solved problems for Suge, including big insurance payouts. The most chilling claims come from Keith D., a key witness who says Suge wasn't invincible at all. He paints Knight as vulnerable, losing fights, and maybe even pulling strings behind the scenes. With every new testimony, the spotlight on Suge gets hotter. He even hinted that Snoop knows more than he's saying. Add in whispers about Biggie's murder, and the whole thing feels like a blueprint for hip-hop's darkest chapter. And now, Suge's stuck. He's in deep with a 28-year sentence and running out of time. Does he spill the truth to cut a deal, or stay silent and risk getting silenced himself? One thing's for sure, every time Suge Knight talks, the industry gets nervous, because in a world full of secrets, his truth could still blow it all up. Like, share, and subscribe to JuicyScoopTV for more wild exclusives straight from the darkest corners of the game.